I would like to welcome everyone to the SKITS FUN HOUSE. And I'm live here today, this wonderful day, with Vinnie Tartamella. And we are going to talk about a little bit of this, a little bit of that. But mainly, I really wanted to get into some juicy bits on art. I mean, does that even sound interesting? I mean, juicy bits on art, the process, the inner workings, the bits, the pieces, all of that sort of stuff. But first, let me welcome Vinnie Tartamella. Thank you for being here. First time ever doing this show, and you are my first guest. Thank you so much for showing up today.
Oh, awesome, man. I'm honored. Thanks for having me tonight. I like your energy in this.
Oh, yeah, man. It's like, see, one of the things I wanted to do is, like, I hate doing these interviews where I'm sitting in a chair, you know? It's like I'm sitting there and I'm just kind of like, oh my God, I'm in this thing. But it's like, for me, like, if I'm doing this sort of stuff and I'm talking to people and I want to be animated, I want to get into it, it's like I got to be standing, you know? It's like I got my pad down here where I'm bouncing and everything, and I want to be standing, and it just makes me feel better, you know? Like, I feel like I'm in it. I can get animated and everything because I like to move around a lot. If you ask my wife, man, I got to tell you, she's like, why are you always fidgeting? Why are you always touching? You know, it's like, just sit still. I'm like, I can't, man. I can't sit still. That's just one of them things, man. But
yeah. That's good.
So we got you on here. You know, I did the little video intro there. That's skits. You know, everyone's been knowing about skits. That's what we're doing. I just want to pimp that right quick, and then we'll get right into all your stuff here.
Of course, brother. Of course.
So skits. This is what you want to do here, people. Skits is a book about a guy who can't tell the difference between his dreams and reality. And right now, you can sign up on Indiegogo. Get ready for it. Skits the Sun, Book 1. You're going to have discounts on day one. There's going to be a special tier for people on the mailing list. So get on the mailing list. It's going to be so awesome. It's going to be so great. And a little bit later, we'll get into talking about some of the cool things coming up. But right now, let's switch. I want to get on over here to my padre today, Vinnie Tartamella. I just wanted to tell you, we got your book yesterday in the mail. We got Through the Woods right here, right there. I'm going to knock on it since I got the video. We're going to knock on it. We're going to show it off, man. I mean, this is awesome, man. This is awesome. So if you want, before we get started, why don't we pimp some of your stuff that you got going on right now? I also got your stuff pulled up. So what would you like to pimp first? Through the Woods? How's that?
Yeah, we could pimp that. No problem, man. Yeah, this one's a ghost story. It centers around Laura Langley. She's an investigative reporter who inherits this property in upstate New York, and she ends up finding out that it's actually haunted. And yeah, we got flashbacks to 100 years prior to this lumberjack camp that, you know, the land actually was. And a very horrible, tragic event goes down there. Yeah, over the years, I guess, like, the place was kind of like left, you know, left for the wilderness. No one wanted it. There was rumors of hauntings. So none of her other family wanted this place, so she ends up inheriting it. And yeah, she kind of mistakenly reawakens one of these restless spirits. And you kind of see where the story goes. It is continued. You have the whole story there in the hardcover. The first 3 issues are collected in this awesome format. And what's really cool about this project, the very first campaign for Indiegogo, and it's before anyone knew who I was. I didn't know how Indiegogo worked. I didn't know how any crowdfunding worked. You know, for what it did, the sales were very low to begin with. But again, I had no fan base here. I didn't know how it worked. It was Twitter. It was YouTube. And I had bigger platforms in other places, but those people weren't buying. So as I was building a name in Comicsgate, I kept, you know, releasing other projects, and it was snowballing. The thing that everyone loved is that my projects were already done, and I would mail them out immediately. So I started getting another reputation. They were calling me the fulfillment king. So I decided that, all right, enough people were asking about this one because City of Venus started getting a good boost. It was my other comic book series. And as people were picking it up, they kept asking what Through the Woods was and how they could get their hands on it. So enough people asked, so I said, all right, I'll do a campaign on it. I'll do a collected edition. So this happened. Fans wanted it. They demanded it. And I didn't realize how hungry they were for it. So I put a stretch goal after the first days to make it a hardcover. If we hit that stretch goal, like I did my numbers, it looked like it would work out properly. And yeah, we hit it within a week. So I'm like, all right, this is happening. I even changed the name of the campaign. There you go, man. I went oversized. I went hardcover because fans wanted it. They backed it. They supported it. So this project is for them, the ultimate edition of, my first miniseries. And I couldn't be more thankful for it. And yeah, I think you've noticed too, I threw in an extra gift. They're while supplies last, but I wanted to do something extra for people. Aside from the ash can, the bookmark. Yeah, you got a beautiful print in there.
Got the print, got the.
Yeah, so that.
Where's the ash can? Ash can's here too. Oh! Let me get that. I'm like dropping stuff here. Yep, there's the ash can right there.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah,
so
this is great.
And the ash can. Yeah, the ash can was an extra gift for my early backers. So if they back within the first 60 days, they got that for free. But again, I didn't want to shortchange anyone, so I made it available for purchase for the people who missed out on it. So yeah, that's also in the campaign. And yeah, this thing has been booming. So I'm very grateful, very happy, and I've been working nonstop since I got the books in hand to mail them out. So that's why my streams have been a little bit shorter. Trying to get back into it more.
Also, because you mentioned that, I mean, we also got City of Venus. I mean, this actually, you did this work after Through the Woods, because as you mentioned, Through the Woods came out first. And so, yeah, just tell us a little something about this. I've noticed that the monies on it has gone up big time, and I'm guessing that's because of the success of Through the Woods, right?
I think it's a little bit of each of my projects. Because I have 3 live campaigns. I'm about to close one of them though. I'm just waiting for my last disbursement. But that's why the previous one I'm talking about, I moved it over to this campaign. So this book has 2 art books attached to it. Be sure to look, anyone who's listening, to the tiers on this one. But the main part of this, it is the comic book. So City of Venus, Dead City. It's a futuristic tale. It's a post-apocalyptic, kind of action, sci-fi. This is like my big kind of story. It's set so far into the future. I put all these different elements that I always liked and I wanted to see in a certain story. And the story itself is kind of crazy. It's like this whole world has been destroyed by like the powers that be, right? The concept came back when I was actually working with Carlin and a little bit before then, about like those people that are behind the scenes who rule the world, the New World Order, whatever you want to call it, that they come up with these ideas, what they're going to do for like the next 5-10 years of business wise and how they up the world. So like, what if these evil, horrible people, they got to happen? And ultimately, they would destroy everything and separate themselves from the rest of society or whatever. Well, things went really, really bad. We're down to like, tens of people that are still alive. They're hiding. This world is so bleak. And then my character kind of comes out of nowhere. But you're gonna see what happens with her in the next installment and what her backstory is. But yeah, it's the evil people are in that floating city that you see in the background there. They're the ones with the only power, and their whole thing is they want to prolong their lives. Because what are those sick people who have power? What do they want? More power. And after that, what do they get? Well, they want to live forever. So they start experimenting on the people that they could find, and they're usually failed experiments, and they toss them back down, and that's where they kind of look like monsters and zombie-ish, but that was done by design. It was done on purpose, because it's the way that this story is going to play out. There's going to be a lot of surprises. A lot of big things are going to be happening. So yeah, it's going to be cool.
Well, really looking forward to it because myself, I was like, man, it's like I just got started reading on this,
Hmm.
and then it kind of like it ended. I was like, dang, man, it's like I wanted some more. You know, it's like I was expecting like just more pages, really. But I mean that, you know, you just did it as a floppy, and that's awesome. You
Hmm.
know, like I said, I got it right here, and by the time I got to the end of it, I was like, man, it's like, wait a minute, I need a little more, man.
Yeah, I'm notorious for my cliffhangers.
Now
Yeah,
you
it's
you see what Black Star's got written up there, don't you? When
yeah.
will Vinny draw some male lumber booty? You want to address
There,
that?
there's some booty in there. Flip to the pages, you'll see some male lumberjack booty from behind.
Oh man! All right, so I was looking at, you know, I got, you know, obviously I got City of Venus first because I just kind of got into all this, you know, the CG community and found you and stuff like that. But now that I have this, and I know that this came, the artwork in this came before this, I got to tell you, I definitely notice a little bit of difference. You know, it feels like the stuff in City of Venus is actually starting to get a little more looser, in my opinion. Like it's starting to get a little less stiff. Like I felt like Through the Woods was just, I could tell it was earlier work, and you're definitely starting to develop and stuff like that, and you're going a little further with it.
Hmm.
And I thought like this stuff right here was starting to get a lot more animated, more action, more dynamic, and the rendering style is maybe a little bit looser, which is something that I actually kind of like, you know, because and the reason why I ask you this is because it's something that I have to deal with myself personally working on skits. It's
Yeah.
I, it's like how far do you take it? You know, it's like I don't, you know, I've been showing some of the concept stuff out there and people have really liked it, but how do you, when do you stop? When do you finish a piece? When do you go a little too far with it? And
Um. Well, here's the thing with those books specifically. So, Through the Woods, since it is more of a ghost story, it was supposed to be straight up horror and gore. After the first issue, we decided to change some stuff. So, I did the first draft of that book, and it was supposed to be a horror book. I let my brother read it, and he was like, I like it a lot because he helped me. We came up with the story kind of together, but I did the first draft of it and really kind of put the real workings of the whole thing together. And then I let him rewrite it since he went, why don't we go a little more in the ghost direction, a little more suspense? That way we don't alienate too many people in case if it's too much gore, then, you know, younger and a younger audience might not really be that keen to pick it up, or you know what I mean. So we went more in that direction. So the style of the book, it was done on purpose like that. I mean, I wouldn't say that it's as stiff. I know what you mean because City of Venus has a lot more action, so there's going to be more of those kind of sequences, and that's why I did those books. I kind of did them a little bit together. So issue 3 of Through the Woods was drawn around at the same time as City of Venus.
hmm,
I kind of did them together. So I was going back and forth between projects because I'm always juggling a bunch of stuff, freelance things as well. But I try to keep a certain tone for a certain book. Since Through the Woods wasn't supposed to be super action packed until the pivotal scene in the end. Um,
yeah,
it was because that's the thing I learned too. Like even hanging and talking with Greg Capullo, it's trying to make characters who don't have necessarily like a superhero look or something like that to bring them alive, to give them that life. That's something special. If you could get that down properly, it's going to be solid. Because I'm very
yeah.
proud of Through the Woods and how it came out like that because it was done purposefully. City of Venus, that's my baby. That one, I can do whatever I want with it. Experiment. I'm the sole creator on that, so I have a really cool tale to tell on it. And so fans who do have the first issue, so they know. From this point on, any of my projects, all my projects, they're going to be around 40 to 50 pages if they're like a solo book. If they're like a issue 1 or issue 2, I'm going up in page count. That way, more people are a lot more happier and satisfied. I'm still gonna have fucked up cliffhangers, just so you guys know. So you're gonna want the next issues. I always do that. But before I get back to City of Venus, I'm currently in the middle of another project, which is a pirate story that I tease at the end of this book.
Yep.
So yeah, I got a lot on the plate.
You got a ton, man. You definitely got a ton. Now, we got a question right up there from Verse Film Productions. When did your editor notice this could be a ghost horror rather than a gory slasher?
Wasn't really editor, co-creators. My brother Frank is the writer on this. It's a concept we came up with together. It sat for a number of years until I pulled it. I decided to pull it out, and then I just kind of reworked the whole story. That was the first draft. Second draft, Frankie took hold of that, and then we talked out issues 2 and 3, and I let him write out the whole thing. So it was cool. But working with a brother, you butt heads now and again. But ultimately, what we came out with, there are the compromises, and we're super happy with everything that we did on this. So, well worth it.
Sweet. Now, something I wanted to talk to you about. I want to talk about your process a little bit, art process, because as an artist, that's really all I think about is like, how am I going to do this? How am I going to do that? And I want to talk about some stuff that I found right here in the sketchbook. Or yes, is this the sketchbook? I guess that's
the little ash.
The little ash can. So I know
same thing.
So you got some drawings in here, and I want to know. It looks like some of it is pencil, and then some of it's digital. Is that true?
With this particular project, I went into a certain direction with it. So most of these were all like mapped out in my sketchbook. I scanned them in, and then I reworked them a little bit, or put gray tones to get the mood down of what I wanted, how I wanted like lighting to be done. That was kind of my process on that. City of Venus, I did a little bit of that on as well, but I went a little more rendering, some tighter drawings here and there. But it all depends. Like the current one I'm working on, I did the first few pages all digital, then I did all traditional. So like the pirate book, you're going to see a lot of different stuff in that as well. But I'm trying to do different things. And before you get to the next one, Shadowhawk, yes, City of Venus is still available. That's on my Indiegogo. If you got any moderators on the channel, if they could drop links, that would be cool.
Yeah.
Or you can go to Twitter. You can find me on Twitter at Vinnie Art. I have it pinned, and you could see my different links there.
That was for City of Venus. I got moderators, but I actually have it right here. I can just drop it in myself right quick.
Oh, cool.
Let me just do that. And that is for City of Venus. There you go.
Awesome.
All
Very
right.
cool.
We've got some other people here in the chat too. We got Wiggle Wiggle. Hey, Wiggle Wiggle. Thanks for stopping by, man. We really appreciate you. Thank you so much for stopping by. We appreciate every person that stops by and says hello and hail. Hail to everybody.
Absolutely.
So the way that I'm doing mine is I'm actually doing all of my thumbnails in the computer because it just seems quicker to do thumbnails in the computer.
Mm-hmm.
And then what I'll do is I'll project it out onto a piece of paper. You know, I got a projector right over there. I project it on the wall, tape up my thing, and then I draw everything. From the drawings, then I'll bring it into the computer, and I'll do all my coloring and stuff like that. But I'm actually just doing pencils, a little bit of inking on top of the pencils here and there just for pulling stuff out, you know, getting that depth. Now, I know you said that you did some, you know, the pencils and digital, and here's something that I really like, how you're doing these shades and stuff right here, these shade tones over things, especially, let me see if I can get like that type of stuff right there.
Yeah.
That stuff is killer. I mean,
Thank you, man.
That looks amazing, and it just seems like it's pencil with just a little bit of like washes in the computer over it, you know, and to me, that type of stuff right there just shows so much, you know. I mean, it shows a lot, but it's actually really simple. Now,
thank you.
Where where do you feel like you need to draw the line once you get to a certain point of rendering? I mean, how do you feel like, okay, I'm done with this, I've rendered it? Because for me personally, like I'll get to the sketching parts, like the stuff that you're looking at that I was just showing, and
Yeah.
I'm like, man, this is done, man. I mean, it
Hmm.
really is done. But we got to remember about the people who are buying these books. They have an expectation, so you have to go even further with it. In my mind, I'm like, this is done, but I got to go further. I got to give it some more. And it's like, where do you draw that line? How do you do that? I mean, what in your mind is saying, okay, I've drawn that line. This is it. It's done, you know?
Well, the approach I have, I kind of go at it like it's an oil painting.
Okay.
So like even all the stuff that you see sketched in there, I
Mm-hmm.
paint over all of my work. It's kind of insane. That's why I didn't do this project all penciled out with super tight line work, because I knew I was going to paint over everything. So the thing is, even while I'm doing it, I'm still being mindful of line work. So
Mm-hmm.
if you're actually through the woods itself, you notice that it has an ultra clean look to it. You can
It's really
see the line
clean.
very specifically, but it's like I merged a painted style with like a traditional comic book sensibility, I guess, because I've always been a huge fan of Frank Frazetta and his approach to stuff, lighting, mood, that kind of thing.
Yep.
But I also love a line and ink work. I love stuff like Bernie Wright's and Brian Boland. And I have done a number of highly detailed original artwork as well over the years. Different companies I've worked in, commissions, you name it. So I'm always trying to play with the balance of what's going to work for what project. And each project I try to do something different. I have a children's book as well that I ran it just for about 20 days. It was After City Venus because it was Halloween themed. I didn't want to go over that, so it had to end a little bit before Halloween so I could get it out to everyone in time, which I managed to do. It was cool, but totally different style. I went like with a Disney, very kid-friendly animated approach. So I want to show my versatility on everything I do, and each genre that I pick, I'm trying to do something different with it so that people could like they can still see my style, but they're going to be expecting something of high quality regardless. So yeah, I'm a bit of a perfectionist as well. So.
Well, I understand that. And would you ever do something, a project or a book where you actually have pages of artwork to sell from it? Because I haven't seen. You sold some sketches. I know that. I mean,
Yeah.
you had head sketches. I think some are
Hmm.
produced here in the back of the
Yeah. No.
book.
The pirate book. That's why I was doing traditionally as well. So I'm gonna have 11 by 17, a number of those pieces available for people to purchase when that campaign goes live.
Oh, that'd be great.
So
Be great. Because
yeah,
I think
I
that's
even
also.
I've done.
Go ahead.
Oh, go ahead.
Well, I was going to say, I think that's also a way for us as artists, obviously, to make more money, And I feel
Oh yeah.
like people who do just digital stuff, they're really missing out on an opportunity to sell art. And especially here, selling stuff online on Indiegogo and stuff like that. It's like, as an artist, it's like you only have so many people who are backing it. And it's like maximize as
Yeah.
much profit from what you're doing as possible. And it's like, you know, I know John Malin, he does some really nice stuff, but I mean, he doesn't do any traditional pages anymore. And it's like, man, it feels like he's really missing out. Like he could almost, maybe add a third to it, just by having artwork or something to what he's pulling in. I don't know if he cares about that,
Yeah.
but I feel.
Well, I think, yeah, if they get to a certain number, I think then it doesn't matter. It's just up to them. Like if he wanted to, I'm sure he could, like tomorrow if he wanted on his next campaign. And yeah, like you said, bump it up even more. But if he doesn't really feel that it's necessary or it's too time consuming, I could see both points to it. But again, like those guys who are making six figures or more, yeah, they don't necessarily have to. I think people on our shoes, but the thing is too, it's the fans, right? If the fans want it, if there's enough demand and for it, I'm sure that they would be swayed into going, okay, yeah, I'll do that and sell more of my originals. But yeah, for me personally, I've been wanting to, but again, sometimes it's hard to part with certain things, right? Or if it's like a page the first time you drew a character or a certain thing, it's like, oh, like, you might hold on to that one and sell maybe a different page. Yeah, it's all different.
Well, we got a question here from Black Star. Vinnie, you got to the printers before all the mayhem. Did you sample all their choices before choosing the right print?
With that one, yeah, I had experimented with my art books. So like the volume 2, the 52-page art book. That was the first one I used with my printer, and the quality was like above and beyond anything I've seen. And then right after that, I did City of Venus with them. Yeah, no, I was super happy with their quality. The hardcover, I get sample copies of that. Oh, hail Shadowhawk! Thank you, buddy.
Thank you, Shadowhawk.
That'll go out in the mail. That'll go out in the mail tomorrow. By the way, that's how quick I am. So,
dude, that's awesome. That is so awesome.
That's the beauty of what I've been doing too. I try to make sure that my campaigns are finished or nearly finished before I launch. That way, fans do not have to wait months to years for their books. Because I'm a fan and I'm a backer. I'll back an awesome project, and it eats at me that I can't get it in my hands right away. But I understand a lot of people work differently. They need that money to make the books, in order to do everything. So me, I'm doing most of the work by myself. I'm doing all the heavy lifting. So I'll try to make sure I get it done and then launch the campaign. Sometimes it's going to take some time. Other times it's going to come out fast. It depends what my work schedule is too, because I'm still doing freelance work for companies and stuff to to pay the bills until the Comicsgate thing really takes off even further. When it does, I can push that crap away and focus on getting you guys even cooler stuff a lot faster.
That's right. That's right. Now, something that's really cool here, and this is just from my standpoint, this is stuff that I think is cool. And, hopefully people out there find it the same. What are your big art influences? You already mentioned Frank Frazetta. I mean, come on, who doesn't like Frank Frazetta? If you don't like Frank Frazetta, I don't think you like art, man, because Frank Frazetta is pretty much the king. And of course, both of us have worked at McFarlane, so I'm sure we both have a personal admiration for McFarlane. So,
of course.
So what are some of your influences? What are the artists that really got your juices going?
Yeah, it was definitely one of the very first books I ever picked up was a McFarlane book. It was an Amazing Spider-Man with Captain America on the cover. That got me hooked. John Byrne, Brian Boland, The Killing Joke, stuff like that. Buscema. Yeah, there's a lot of amazing people that have worked throughout the years like that. But then I had influences from European books. Enrico Marini is like one of my favorite artists. He had the most recent thing he had done was the Dark Prince Charming, that Batman book. He did 2 of them for DC recently. But I've known his work since Gypsy, the Scorpion, Raptors. It's stuff like that. It's that because he brings a cinematic approach. He has more, I guess, anime or manga kind of influences, but he's got more of he has a touch of like some of those greats that I mentioned before, and he kind of merged the two. He's got a simplistic style, but it's very cinematic. It's very animated. The pacing is beautiful, and that's why I always I always would lean towards European kind of books in that format. That's why to do Through the Woods like this, it fits perfectly with that stuff. And yeah, I'm on board all the way, which is given the highest quality.
Yeah, for me, European artists, I mean, Mobius, obviously, a lot of people like Mobius. He's a no-brainer. But Frazzato, I mean, I'm a huge fan of Frazzato, the Italian illustrator. I mean, he does some amazing stuff. I got, his sketchbook over there that's just incredible stuff. I really enjoy that.
He had that, what was the name of that book again?
Masters of something.
They were all the covers connected.
Yeah,
like that thing was cool. That was epic.
Yeah, I mean, it's just it's the best. I mean, it's like the first time I ever saw it was on one of the covers was on Heavy Metal, And I was
Mm-hmm.
like, I always see heavy metal and it's all about the same. But when I saw his, I was just like, oh my gosh, man, this is incredible. This is something a little more from heavy metal that I'm not used to. So, I mean, that's how I really got into it, is that I just saw it there. And I was
Yep.
like, dang, man. Like, and I was hooked just from that point
Hell,
there,
hell, red. Oh yeah, dude, totally, man. Yeah, and like Luis Royo,
Oh, yeah. Yep.
yeah,
Yep.
Boris Vallejo and his wife Julie Bell. Yeah,
Yep. Yep.
all those influences. Yeah, absolutely huge fan of all that stuff.
Here's something funny. I went to a Diamond Comic seminar back in 93, 94. I can't quite remember. And that's pretty much when I met everybody. All the Image guys were there. It was just huge. And I met Julie Bell, and I always liked Julie Bell's work more than Boris.
Yeah,
Boris's stuff just seemed
two
too,
bodybuilder.
it was too perfect. It's like I like my artwork to be kind of loose and stuff, and I always felt like hers was just a little bit looser and it had a little more pop to it. So,
Mm-hmm.
and the funny thing is, we got free tickets to a baseball game to the Baltimore Orioles while we were there at the Diamond Comic seminar. And
Yeah.
funny enough, I get to my seat and I'm sitting right next to Julie Bell. So we got to talk and hang out the whole
Oh
baseball
wow.
game and stuff like that. Yeah, so it was cool. But I got some old pictures with her and stuff like that. That's actually where I met like Todd and Rob, um, uh, Eric Larson, Mark Silvestri. I met all those guys at that time. Frank Miller. I actually had dinner with Frank Miller. I mean, I spent hours with him. Awesome guy, man. Just
That's
incredible.
fantastic.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love that stuff. Especially when you meet ones who are really cool and down to earth, because there's so many fucking fake ones. It's not even
Oh
funny.
yeah, yeah. She's just a real nice lady. I mean, it was incredible, man. Just a good time,
Oh
So
yeah. Yeah, go
go
ahead.
ahead. Oh no,
No,
I was just
I was gonna say about yeah, her like her current work or the stuff she's been doing the last couple of years is just mind blowing, absolutely mind blowing. If you still keep up with some of her work,
yeah. I
oh
mean, whenever I can, I always look at it. I mean, it's just good stuff.
totally.
And so art journey. So we've been talking about these artists. Excuse me.
Mm-hmm.
So was there a time? What you talked about that McFarlane cover? Was that the first time that you really saw comics and you were like, "This is something I want to do"? I mean, what is it? Because I know you've been doing comic book stuff for years, and you've been at shows, you've been putting yourself out there, and you don't make a lot of money doing it. So it's got to be something from the inside, something that's boiling up that says, "I got to do this." And it's like, when did you realize that you just had to do it?
Since well, and when I was in high school, for sure. I was fortunate enough to meet Stan Lee, and he
Right.
gave me like a huge boost in confidence about my work and what I'm doing. Because I was always just a fan too, and yeah, I knew I wanted to draw comics. I always did. So when I got to meet Stan, it was at um, it was in Boca. They opened up like this kind of little museum, and he was doing like a little seminar there. And afterwards, he was doing like a meet and greet kind of thing. And his line was just tremendous. I'm like, I don't have anything for him to sign. I just want to meet him and show him a couple of pages. So we kind of cut the line, which was very dangerous to do.
Especially for him.
Yeah, but oh my God, they were so nice. And yeah, when I set my book down, he starts flipping through. He goes, "You're just a kid." I went, "Yeah." He's like, "You're still in high school, right?" I went, "Uh-huh." He goes, "Don't stop." I went, "Really?" He's like, "Seriously, do not stop. You are amazing." He goes, "But I'll tell you one thing, because it was around the time that Marvel fell off the stock market. They were about to sell off characters. It was right before the Spider-Man and X-Men deal."
Yeah.
He leaned over and he told me, he goes, "Go to the other guys." I said, "What?" He's like, "Yeah, Marvel might not be around." He gave me insider news right
Wow.
there. That's
How
how much
awesome.
he believed in the work I was doing. And I'll just really quickly, I'll fast forward to one of the last times I met him. I was at C2E2 exhibiting. He came by my table And he told his guys, because like they were kind of, you know how it was. He was like in the middle of a bunch of bodyguards and other people, and he stopped. He pointed over on my table. You know, he told them. They came over. They go, Stan wants to buy some of your artwork. I went, what? He bought like 3 originals from me, and then he said, if you want anything signed, you know, he's more than happy to do that. So I was supposed to be Spider-Man back around like 2002, 2003. So I said, well, it's for me, it's fitting. So I took out my Spider-Man print and he signed it for me. And yeah, that's one of my treasured possessions for sure.
Now,
you know,
you just talked about him buying some artwork from you. Now, I know him and Will Eisner were pals, and I got to tell you, when I saw some of your drawings in Through the Woods, like the way that you got your characters imposed, you know, that hunched look where it's like you're kind of in there, almost like a wrestler type feel, especially for the lumberjack in it. I mean, was Will Eisner ever an influence for you?
Oddly enough, not really. Every time people brought him up, the stuff that I would see would look too boring to me.
I mean, yeah, some of his stuff can be pretty boring, but I mean, he's a master of telling a story. I mean, once you get past just the stylized of his, I mean, you got to remember he's from way back in the day. You know,
of course,
so.
of course. Well, like people like Wally Wood, like he's got his rules of paneling, like the 22 rules, whatever stuff like that. I mean, I've always been very mindful of my paneling and storytelling. So, but I always approach things in a cinematic way. I was one of my biggest influences is Sergio Leone. So, I'm thinking in terms of, you know,
cinematics,
TV, cinema, very cinematic. I want that approach on everything I do. So if it happens to, you know, fall on those lines of what what Will Eisner was doing, you know, that's awesome. It's a great compliment for sure. But yeah, I honestly never really studied his work.
Well, it's something you should look at just because, I mean, he's a master of the craft. It's like everyone always talks about different people in it, but he's definitely one of those masters. But we got Black Star. She is in the house. She wanted to just come on in and say something.
Hello. I like the book you're holding up.
Oh, well, hey there, boys.
Hello. I don't know if you heard me.
Can you guys hear me?
Yeah. Is there a delay?
Might be a little bit of a delay.
Might be.
I think. Oh my God, am I delayed?
I guess that answers that.
Well, anyway, come get some. Basically, I think what she was wanting to do is just say hello and thanks for the books. I mean, she really, really liked the books. And also, we got something coming tomorrow. Come get some. We got a new Come Get Some tomorrow. She's doing a review of the last couple issues of Philadelphia, number 5 and 6. Now, last week, we had Rodney Barnes, the writer of Philadelphia, come on the show, and she was able to interview him, and that was a lot of fun. But something special, you know, he gave us Philadelphia. He sent it in the mail to us. Issue number 6. This thing hasn't even made it to Diamond, man. He had it printed. Him and Jason Sean Alexander had it printed in LA, and they sent it to us. You know, it's like obviously comics aren't shipping right now. So he's like, yeah, here you go. Take it. Do a review. So on Come Get Some tomorrow, everybody, we're going to have a review of it. So come check it out. And I think that's really what she wanted to come in and say hey to Vinnie and do all that. But since we got that little delay, we'll just kind of kick her there.
No, dude, that's beautiful. Awesome. You just kicked your wife. That's domestic. Anyway, thank you both though for backing and supporting my projects. I mean, I'm really thrilled and happy that you guys enjoyed them. Yeah, no, that means a lot to me.
I haven't actually had a chance to read through the woods yet. You know, I got to keep knocking it. I mean, you keep making every time I see you hold it up, you do it, so you make everyone else do it. That's really good. No, it's a good marketing play. It's always good to have little insides and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I don't know what I'm gonna have for skits quite yet. You know, it's like I got to get something. I got to be like, or you know, something crazy like that. I don't know, but we'll get something for it. But yeah, I haven't had a chance to read it yet because we just got it yesterday. You know, I've been working all day, so but we'll definitely read it up. We'll do a little review for you and stuff. We'll get that out there and come get some. Yeah.
Hell yeah.
So, you know, that's really the main stuff that I really wanted to talk to you about was just like art styles and like what was influencing you. You know, that for me as an artist, that's the bread and butter of everything. You know, it's like my background was, there was a lot of people, and you can tell me if you were like this. When I went to art school, you know, that was like my first experience with all different types of people doing art. And I was just like, all these kids, they said, oh, I've been drawing since as long as I can remember. And I was never like that. You know, it's like I didn't even draw or try and draw anything until I was in 6th grade. Now, before 6th grade, I was, you know, and I'd failed a grade, so I was kind of older than all the kids anyway. And, but I had never drawn anything, and I had a art teacher that just sat me down. She's like, listen, you got to do this. You got to check this out right here. It's like, and I was like, okay, you know, I'll try it. We'll do it. Just see what happens. And, I was hooked, you know. It's like ever since then I was hooked. You know, when people in high school were going out partying, doing the thing, I mean, I was at home all the time drawing and painting. I mean, that's all I could do.
I was kind of similar in that regard during those years. Like when I was really small, I did a couple like little kind of cartoony drawings or whatever. Nothing real or whatever. I got into it at around 9 or 10 is when I got more into it because I was starting to help to take care of a sick family member. So we were home all the time. So those years during high school and stuff, I was hunkered down doing work, you know, getting all those cool influences, reading all those books. You know, it was really, really pushing and driving me because I wanted to start the storytell. I love like what Frazetta was doing with one image, a story he could tell. And there's so much going on in it. People like Drew Struzan, those movie posters he was doing, you know, you seen them all the time when I was a kid. And then finally, when they eventually did like the actual art books and released them all collected, it's like, you know, your jaw hit the floor. That kind of influence is very important. It keeps feeding creativity. And I think we need more of that. We need better storytellers again. We need people who are going to think about that. And like I tell everybody, make sure you get your foundations right. Anatomy, perspective, those things are going to help tremendously. Learn from life, draw people. Don't just draw strictly comic book stuff or other artist things. You don't want to do that. You want to get a natural feel. You want to develop your own style. You know, there's too many cookie cutter artists out there.
Well, for me, what I always felt like, it was like, okay, I want the sensibility and foundations of the Renaissance artist. Like, that's what I want. I want that strict, rigorous stuff, but I want the fun of comic books. So it's like, how do you get those two together? I mean, that's always been my thing. And that's what I always felt like the fantasy artists, you know, people like Frank Frazetta, Jeff Jones, Bernie Wrightson, Michael Kaluta, all those big boys, you know, from the 50s all through the 80s. That was the stuff that I felt like that's what they were doing, you know. And and Come Get Some is here again. What you got to say, Black Star? Thanks, jeez.
Welcome back.
I know. It's like, well, I don't know. She's not coming through there. So anyway, we'll just bam. That's it. Sorry, baby.
You kicked your wife twice.
Twice in one feed. There must be some sort of issue with her. Anyway,
you'll be hearing about that later.
You know it. Dang
good
right.
Good luck on that one.
And you know, Todd, when I was working for him, he always would tell me, he's like, learn to draw from comics. He's like, comics are cool. Learn to draw from comics, you know? And I was like, well, which comics, Todd? I mean, it's like, a lot of people have different styles, and it's kind of, I mean, if you say that, especially with what's going on in the industry right now and the big two, it's like I wouldn't want to learn from those guys.
Of course not. Yeah, of course not. Well, here's the thing, right? I was always against what people were always trying to cram down your throat. I think that's like another reason too, like why I was never a fan of trying to study Will Eisner and all that. I could appreciate it. I could look at it and appreciate it. But for me, the approach was way different. Again, what I wanted to, like each page I wanted to approach almost like Frazetta would, right? You want something that's going to be iconic, something that, along with clear, proper storytelling, you're going to have these images that, you know, like you pull up on the ash can, that shot of him hanging there. Like to me, that little moment, it's not a huge scene in the book or a panel in the book, but it's there. It's like a medium-sized shot, you know, and that's something that sticks with you. You know, the rundown cabin, along with like a splash page, like you said, he's getting ready. He's about to fight that bear. There's a lot of cool stuff. That extreme close up of the grin, stuff like that.
I like that. I like that.
Yeah, you gotta have. For me, everything has to complement the storytelling. Has to.
Yeah, see that reminds me of a Will Eisner type piece right there. That's the type of stuff I'm talking about. You know, he's hunched over. He's got that full body into it. You know, like everything.
Sure, man. And here's the thing. It's however you get there. If it's something similar that another master had done, that's a cool thing. We got there at different ways, right? But the important thing is that you got there and that you're able to convey a proper story that's going to entertain people. It's going to keep them interested, wanting to turn each page hungry for more.
Yeah,
you know?
I mean that's a big thing for skits. You know, it's like, how do I get people to turn every page? For me, it's like I got to have something there that hits you in the mouth. It's exciting. It's got movement on every page. And how do you do that? You know, it's like Todd, he said, drawing superheroes is easy. Drawing people sitting on the couch talking is the hardest thing in the world. And you got to make it interesting, you know?
Yeah, so that's what Greg was saying too. Like, you know, I've been a huge fan of Capullo for a number of years as well, and even when I was like a teenager, I used to send him work. And when I finally did get to meet him for the first time, he was like, "Hold on, you're Vinnie? You're the Vinnie Tartamella? I know your name. I know your work. This is you." Like he was awesome. And then, like, at a number of other conventions, we hung out. We were even neighbors, like convention neighbors at one or two of the shows. And to see someone like that in action is really cool. And just to kind of pick his brain too. It's awesome because you could see like, oh yeah, I am on the right path. Or someone who he knows what he's doing. He's a master at his craft. He knows how to make, like you said, that boring thing, sitting down on the couch, interesting. Fun, cool, dynamic. That stuff is important for sure. But again, to me, it has to complement the story. It has to work with it. And a lot of times, like Spawn, the story might not have always been the best thing in the world. So you have to make things extra interesting. But if you do have a tight story, something that's written out in a very certain way, you want to complement those words on the page. You want to make sure that everything flows in sync properly. And that's why a lot of times you'll have a good artist or a good writer. They could mesh well, but they also argue all the time. It's because they're passionate about what needs to be on the page and what's going to look the fucking best.
Yeah, definitely. Well, I wanted to just kind of wind down and get out of here. I don't like doing too long, and I know you probably got a ton of work. You're shipping out all those books. You got stuff going on. I mean, do you have all the books out yet, or are you still packing and shipping?
I have, I think, about 270 books went out. So yeah, I'm in the middle of it. I'm literally in the middle of it. That's why I haven't been as active on social media. I'm trying to do a little bit more at night here and there. Tomorrow I'm going to be hosting like kind of like a comic skater, like a showcase with a bunch of different creators. So I might rotate the room. You're invited if you want to come as well.
Sweet.
Like I said, I'll try to, we'll cover somebody, and then if there's a lot more people waiting, I'll boot them and just kind of, give a little bit to everybody, because I think it's important to showcase, fellow creators, really cool people, high energy people, good stuff, because we're all in this together, right?
That's right. I mean, we are here.
Mm-hmm.
We are here doing it all together, and it is wonderful. I mean, this community of CG is like some of the best stuff I've ever seen. Everyone out there, come in, get your books, sell books, do whatever you want to do. I mean, it is wide open right now. It's kind of like the Wild West for making these comics online on Indiegogo or Kickstarter, whichever one you want. But Indiegogo is where all the action is, so you should probably just be on Indiegogo right now. So,
yeah, I agree. Oh, by the way, yeah, your wife, she said she did love the episode of Cowboy Bebop over on my stream. I had one of the voice actors, Jet Black, where he played Jet Black, Bo Billingsley. He's a friend of mine. And yeah, on my channel, I do have from time to time, I'll bring on a celebrity. I had one of the actors from Pirates of the Caribbean, my friend Serena Vincent. She was a Power Ranger, did a number of horror movies and shows and stuff.
nice.
So I keep changing things up as well every now and then. It's whenever I have time and my friends have time, like I'll get them on. I have a friend who's a wrestler who might be coming on kind of soon as well.
Nice.
If you guys like animation, I'm tight friends with Bob Camp from Ren and Stimpy. So yeah, there's a lot of cool, fun stuff to keep an eye out. So yeah, please subscribe to my channel, Vinnie Art on YouTube. So yeah, thank you.
Just wanted to show a little something here. This is the type of work I'm doing right now for skits. It's like,
Oh, it's killer.
it's like I'm trying to do a little this, little that, and the biggest part, the hardest part right now is trying to get everything to kind of come together. It's like, so I'm doing blocks of work in different parts of the book at different times to give it a certain look, so I don't worry too much about falling off a style and keeping something consistent all the way through. Kind of like what you might see with Dave McKean and Cages or something like that. Oh, and just so everyone knows, like I've been going crazy today. Like we got some big name artists that are actually going to be on the book, on the skits book. So this is where I'm gonna pitch skits here a little bit. But anyway, yeah, go over there and check out Vinnie. And but with skits, man, we got some big names that are going to be contributing some art for skits. I mean, today, I mean, it's just stuff is just blowing my mind, the type of people. So basically what it was is I said my marketing person, my wife, I said, I got a list of people. I was like, here's the people that I would like to get artwork from. At the very top, is like, is the best, and at the bottom is, whatever. If we get them, it's cool. So I had people like Ashley Wood, Dave McKean, I mean, dream type stuff, on my list, ridiculousness, So I was just like, okay, if we could get any of these people, it'd be great. We got the person who is at the very tippy top of my list. I mean, my mind was just like, holy cow, is this for real? I mean, the dude's like giving me his phone number and stuff. He's like, hey man, how's it going? I'm like, holy cow, this is gonna be great. So,
That's
we've
awesome.
been, I know. I mean, it is just for us, it's just awesome. I can't believe it. So we're gonna be we got some really, really cool stuff coming on with skits, and we're gonna be launching, really soon here. Everyone is on the list. Don't worry, you'll know before anyone else. So get over there and get on the list. And Vinnie, I got to tell you, thank you so much for coming on tonight.
Hey, thank you, man. Like I said, I'm honored to be your first guest on this new format that you're doing. Yeah, everybody, go sign up to Skits. Back these projects. We're doing our best work. There's a ton of passion happening in here. And I think you're going to be very, very surprised and happy with the books and the stories that you're going to be getting. So, yeah, thank you very, very much.
All right, Vinnie. Well, I'm going to sign off. Everyone, y'all have a great day, and I hope everyone's doing well. And thank you for stopping by with the Skits Fun House.